is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
I haven't heard that in a long time.
I'd like to call our November 20th Board of Finance meeting to order. We have a full agenda tonight. First item, minutes of our regular meeting from October 16th. Everyone's had a chance to look at it and review it. Any questions or comments? Can I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
I will do that.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have no old business, new business. Expenditures.
Oh, I have questions. I have a couple questions. Page 7. So we've encumbered for the cultural center. Does that mean we're actually going to do work on the Martha Culver now?
No, that encumbrance is for painting that we've done at the cultural center.
Painting.
Yeah.
So painting,
That is separate from the Martha Culver.
It's a
okay,
regular
so what,
budget.
all right, so but we're encumbering more than we anticipated for painting?
No, it's going to cost about that to do all the painting.
Okay, so we didn't necessarily budget that, right, or?
A lot of these things come up and we don't know ahead of time.
So let me explain, Diane. So there's two separate buildings, Martha Culver, which you mentioned, and then the Historical Society, which we call the Cultural Center.
Okay.
So when the Cultural Center or the Historical Society roof had to be replaced, there was significant damage on the inside, water damage, painting needed to be done. So that's what that expenditure is for the Historical Society.
Okay.
Ed?
And painting
And painting, right.
on top of that.
Okay, another question, I've asked this in the past about maintenance and repair on rental property. Do we have a list?
Of the buildings?
Yeah, because I just always this number always seems to go up and.
Yeah, but there's several buildings and we really probably need to increase the amount we budget because 5,000 is probably not enough.
Right, but can we get a list of,
the
like,
buildings?
the buildings? Yeah. Ellen, could you make sure we get that for next time? Thank you. I'll let my buddy go.
Okay, I have just one observation, and I'm on page 10. Overtime for the fire department. Kudos to the chief. He's well below where he was a year ago. And just make a note of that. It's in the right direction.
That's a condition of both overtime lines,
In the staffing replacement.
Yeah.
tracking below.
on a year-to-year basis?
We didn't have that line last year. It was all in overtime.
Thank you. Ed gave me information, the data from last year, so.
As long as he's comparing apples to apples.
Yes, sir.
Anything else on?
And I just had one question also on fire, page 10. So the EMT line, and I feel this probably came up before, but for 128 grand, we expended 126.
That's your stipend. Oh,
Yeah, that's just one time, once a year they get paid.
that's once a year stipend.
Also, we paid that already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else on expenditures?
Yeah, I
Revenue?
have
Yep.
another one. Maintenance of equipment, page 13. Is that to get equipment, is this, the streets and roads, so is this to get equipment ready for the winter,
Which line?
or the second one, maintenance of equipment? Page 13.
362. It's a $140,000 line item.
Yeah.
He spent $11,000 this month.
But we're in, so I'm just wondering, are we getting ready for winter, or do we know of
Probably have to look
issues?
for some repairs they're probably going to do. Sometimes we just give a blanket amount. Okay.
Yeah, well,
Cover.
the other answer is that we had a flail mower that was defective. And a flail mower, just so the public knows, is the mower that we deploy out to clear sight lines at intersections, at stop signs, when people come down and stop and look left or look right. So that flail mower was defective, and we had to pay a significant amount to get that back up and
That's
running.
another item, right?
So that's part of that, too.
Okay. Thank you.
Realize a good portion of that is just encumbered, so that's the estimate.
Right,
I'm
but,
talking about.
right, and I know that, but I just didn't know if there were repairs that we knew that we needed to do, or was it getting the equipment ready, or if there was a, a problem, or you were just planning. Thank you.
Anything else on expenditures? Revenue? Which is
Yes.
tracking nicely. Got a question?
Well, my first question is about ECS. How is that normally received by us in terms of timing? I see that in this past month, we've received about $1 million.
And then I think we get it again in May.
$1 million of the
Well, it's
the
usually, I think, a
3.8.
third,
Yeah, it's a
and
third.
final balance comes in.
Yeah.
Balance comes in May.
A third, a third, a third?
Third,
It's
So
end
if
loaded,
it-
I think, though.
Pardon me?
My recollection was just more end loaded than a third, but we get 3 payments in my recollection.
Because if that represents a third, then we're not going to achieve our budgeted amount here of 3.7 million. Is it
We've got
an
a
exact third?
no, it's
or-
not, I meant you get 3 payments, they're not exact.
But it's backloaded in the second half of the fiscal
That's
year.
that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
The balance is backloaded in the second half.
So my general question is, there's been some bonding delays on the state level. Has that affected any of our income where it's affected the town, or budgeting or expenses in any way?
So LoCIP is a good example, Ed. We talk
Right.
about this all the time. So I'll let you start, and then I'll finish.
No, with LoCIP, I don't think they've given us the allotment for this year yet.
So the answer to your question is that there are projects that we have not started because LoCIP has not come in. And just so you know, the reason why LoCIP hasn't come in, this is not only North Haven, but every single municipality in the state of Connecticut. And Governor Lamont was in my office, so this is firsthand, okay? So we had a meeting with the governor, and the LoCIP, which is local capital improvement, is part of the state bonding package and has to be authorized by the bonding commission, which hasn't been done yet. A lot of the delay has to do with the narrative taking place across the state regarding tolls. So until that bonding commission meets and then authorizes the money to be released, all of us municipalities will receive what we're due. And Ed, you might want to share what we're owed. That's like $367,000.
Yeah, 360, give or take.
Right.
Well, if nothing is in jeopardy in terms of them not maintaining their promise, we should be able to complete any projects we want with the LoCIP money that we anticipate.
Absolutely. And we are doing very well right now. We were actually doing projects from the monies that we had left over from LoCIP. So we're ahead of the game. I'm involved with every single one of these projects with Public Works. So we're doing very, very well right now. And that money, when it comes in, will be almost like a bonus for us to do more projects that need to be done.
Okay, so the answer is no, that the state delay that's hurting some other towns is not affecting us
We're
quite
financially
severely.
strong enough
To
to
absorb it.
absorb the
Yes.
delay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Special funds? And Board of Ed.
Board of Ed, why are we sending staff to have fingerprinting training?
That might be part of the security package we'll be talking about in a little bit, I would assume.
Maybe we save that.
It's a requirement? Oh, this is for new staff? Oh, yeah, I can touch. Yeah, new employees.
Oh, when you
have to.
Oh, all right, okay. And
Even
also,
workers in buildings nowadays have to go through fingerprinting for background checks.
now, is that the same reason for sending the rider to a bus driver safety program?
I'm sure it's probably a mandate from the state as well.
All right.
If there's nothing else, can I have a motion to accept the reports as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Our next item is, I make a motion that we move to executive session to discuss a $2 million security package for the school system. And in that meeting, we need to invite our superintendent of schools, Patrick Stark, the IT director, Jen,
Phil Diane.
Chief of Police, Tommy McLaughlin, Deputy Chief Kevin Glenn, Phil Diana, Building Maintenance, close enough,
That's Winkowski.
and Mr. Swinkowski from Finance.
And
I think that kind of covers us.
I need an evening.
we have the chairperson of the Board of Ed here also.
So we can have Anita join us as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right, before,
We're going to move to executive session to discuss the security package. We really do not want what they're proposing to be public.
Now,
Why don't we second the motion and then have
But-
discussion?
now we can discuss.
Second the motion.
Second motion, discussion.
Yeah, so the question is, are there going to be, in executive session, we can speak about what is classified? What
Yes.
is, what you don't.
What they're proposing.
That you
Yes.
know, information you may want to keep secure for one
Yes.
reason or another. When that concludes, we are going to obviously continue that discussion out here with the non-classified portion. Is that correct?
We can, yeah, whatever's not.
right.
There's
Related to-
discussion on this topic, you know,
Okay.
obviously, we're not going to go.
As long as it's
and-
not related to anything that would make public steps that the Board of Ed, the police chief want to implement to protect the school system.
Right.
I have
Anything
no
that does
problem.
not need to be protected, I think should be discussed in this room.
That's fine.
So we agree.
The executive session is mostly designed for them to bring us up to speed as to why they need $2 million and what they're going to use it for.
Well, yeah, some of the specifications of the
Exactly,
program.
that's all it's for.
Yeah.
So
But that dollar figure and how it gets constituted, I think will
Yeah.
have to be discussed again here.
So part of this discussion, I want to just tee it up. Before we go into executive session, we have a motion and a second. We're in discussion. This is a project that Patrick and I have been working on with Anita Anderson and Jen and Phil for quite some time. We asked Jen to put together a presentation, which you're going to see in executive session. The concept has already been presented to the Board of Ed, and I believe the Board of Ed has unanimously endorsed the concept of enhancing the school security. And ladies and gentlemen, this is for the 4 elementary schools only. The 4 elementary schools we've identified, they need to be shored up from a school security standpoint. That's what this is about. In executive session, as Mr. Monaco said, the Board of Finance, along with Ed Swinkowski and others, will get all of the details, and Jen will be presenting to us in executive session. She designed the program, she's done this in another district, and that's why we're going into executive session. This is a very important initiative to enhance the safety of our children in the elementary schools from K through 5.
Any other discussion?
Yeah.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned into executive session. I'd like to make the motion to end executive session, move back into our general session. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next item on our agenda, a resolution to appropriate $2 million for school security. First, I'll read the resolution, we'll have a second, and then we can go into discussion. Resolved that the Board of Finance recommends that the town of North Haven appropriate $2 million for school security improvements. The appropriation may be spent on the acquisition, installation of equipment, furnishings and materials, and site improvements, including but not limited to systems, alarms, remote software, displays and computers, servers and storage, identification systems, digital camera systems, video intercom entry systems, radios, upgraded exterior lighting, door access controls, doors, dampers, resistant glass, window replacement, window film, weathering equipment, fencing, generators, training, legal fees, net interest on borrowing, and other financial costs and other expenses related to the project, and that the town issue bonds or notes and temporary notes in the amount not to exceed $2 million to finance this appropriation. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
The first point of discussion has to do with sources of funding. Was a grant applied at all for this, or are any funds available from any other level of government or any other programs
A grant was,
that may apply to security issues?
a grant was applied for, and the town was denied.
What program was the grant applied under?
The Board of Ed applied for a grant, and they
From-
were denied the grant.
Yeah, from what, and what was the program that they tried to apply for, and why were we not accepted?
Can I ask a question? If you can come up to the mic if you know the answer to the question as to where we applied for the grant, and if there was a reason that we know for denial.
Hi. We applied for the grant through the Stage 4 security money through the state of Connecticut. It was last November and December we completed our application. They did not give us a reason why we were denied. They said that it was going to go to the towns that had the need as they saw it, so we don't know what other school districts had, and for security reasons, they probably won't tell us why we were denied over other people, but it was through the state.
Thank you.
So we're too well managed again?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Frieda is causing problems. No, well, is that the only possible source of funding? I mean, is anything else going to, because, you know, when the taxpayers are asked to foot the bill, we'll always ask, well, were there alternatives? Were there any other sources that were available? So is this the only possible means of financing this security program?
It's the,
I don't think that's a question for Jen.
yeah.
Here's the answer to the question, that we have to move forward with the bonding package, and then we have the option after to apply for whatever grants may be out there. But there's no guarantee we will get those grants. And I know that there are discussions at the state level, because I'm part of those discussions, that are introducing some of these grant concepts potentially. But there's no definitive answer as to whether or not that money will be there, but we think there will be opportunities sometime next year to apply for grants again.
Yeah, I mean, this is a popular cause that certainly there has been talk of funding it on a very large basis, but the question is, if this bonding gets approved, does that make us ineligible to apply for grants for items that this town has approved the funding for?
Michael, I'm sure there's always more that can be done. So if we apply for additional grants, and they were granted to us, I'm sure there's other avenues that it can go and be applied towards.
Well, this would be similar to open space
Yeah.
in the grant that we applied for and received.
All right, and this program, it was developed, who from the town was involved in
The Board of Ed,
development?
the Board of Ed and the Police Department were involved in developing the plan.
The Board of Ed, so
Well,
what?
the
what did
superintendent,
the-
I'll rephrase that, the superintendent of schools and his staff and the police department, I'm sure they had input from the Board of Ed, designed the plan.
But Jen played a key role. She's done this in another district. It's been very successful in the other districts. So she was spearheading it with Patrick, myself, and the Board of Education and the Police Department, and it was a byproduct of an analysis done by Deputy Chief Kevin Glenn several years ago.
Good answer. And to what extent has this been vetted by the Board of Ed, by the board members on the Board of Ed? Have they, do they agree with the emphasis and some of the focus of
Yeah.
this proposal?
From what I understand, in talking to the Board of Education, it's unanimously accepted by all Board of Ed members.
So they had, by some sort of a vote? I mean, what happened?
Okay.
What-
Anita, would you like to step up?
As much as I can.
How was it presented to them?
Basically, in one of our meetings, Mr. Sturks had presented it to us. We have been talking about it all along. So it's been come there. We did not take it to a vote. At the point, there was no, we don't have to take that to a vote, but it was agreed on by the Board of Education that we needed to continue on with our security. Now, with that being said, I also need you to know that not everyone on a Board of Ed knows exactly at this point what is the plan and what is being done. Any more questions, Mike?
Were any of the costs brought up during your discussion?
Were any of the what?
The
Yes, we knew that it was a $2 million bond.
Okay.
But to be clear, the Board of Ed's not bearing the cost of that.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
It's the town, so.
Town, right.
And we also knew that we had gone for a grant. We had talked about that. And if you go back into several of our meetings last year, we had gone for a grant and that grant was denied to us.
I wish we would receive a reason for the denial of the grant, so when we apply for other programs, we might see how we could qualify. But thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So the next question is, it's my understanding that nothing has been put out to bid. There's a lot of items that are listed within the resolution. Is there any cost breakdown available at all,
No.
of any kind?
No.
So the resolution you're asking us to vote on now, we are given no specifications, no cost breakdown, no other no other information on this other than the presentation we just received.
Well, the presentation you received did give you an indication of what the money was being spent on and how they came up with their budget. That's kind of all I'm going to say on it.
Yeah, well, people on our board here, I don't think ever want to go and make decisions without having all relevant information. And I think that, we all want to do things that are in the best interest of this town at the right price. But
I don't think this is inconsistent with what we've done in the past, Mike. When we've done the middle school, right, we were given an estimate based on a budget, right? But the project wasn't bid out, right?
Right.
That comes later.
Yes.
Okay, so
But we-
my understanding was the $2 million is based on an estimate of the cost of the program, but that it will be bid out prior to being awarded.
As required by our charter.
Right, but I think in each of the building bonding issues, we had access to information done by after an architect and a cost estimation service gave us some of the figures.
So we have an understanding as to what needs to be done or what's going to be done. They're going to put it out to bid. They're not going to exceed it. It's their expectations that the budget number they put together was sufficient to cover it. I'm not understanding your point.
Look, Mike, I don't disagree. That
This is like sight unseen.
Well, I don't disagree that it'd be ideal to have hard numbers in front of us that we could hash out and ask questions on. But I think in the interest of security and the safety of the children, the teachers of the town, we have to do things a little bit differently for this particular resolution.
I'm not sure that all that is necessary for the protection of some of the specifics of this proposal. I mean,
What is your point, Mike?
My point is that when we approve the annual town budget, we don't say we just need $94 million and move ahead. In this case, we're being asked to approve a $2 million expenditure with no documentation, nothing given to this board. And
Nothing as far as budgets, other than...
Right.
Other than...
We're
the
about costs.
presentation.
Board of Finance, about costs.
They gave us estimates.
I did not get any.
An
I did
idea,
not-
well, the number came from ideas from doing research. Now, when this resolution goes forward, that gives them the initiative to go and start looking and get estimates. Of course, it has to be voted on by the town. But it's kind of hard to say that when you're talking about security and you can't get into the specifics.
Yeah, I think you can come up with cost figures.
Well, we did it on the middle school, too. We had a general item on the budget for the middle school of security. We didn't sit there and list all the security items for the middle school. It was the same principle. You had a general idea.
I don't know if it was just a lump sum. But I think,
I was on the building committee, I know.
yeah. I don't like the way that this is being advanced through
Well,
us.
how would you like it? Would you like us to list every single thing that was gonna go in with dollars, and then what's the point? You're telling everybody what you're doing, so I don't understand why.
No, you
you're-
can do it without giving
right.
away any information that you do not think is proper. So my motion is that this be tabled for 30 days till our December, or whatever, till our December meeting.
In hopes that what would happen in December?
That we would receive some information that will validate a $2 million price tag.
There's already a motion on the table to approve the resolution.
Right, so I'm making the motion to table that.
A motion's been made well, you actually cannot table to another meeting. You could table to later in the agenda. So it's either going to pass or fail.
The effect of it would be the same. It
So-
would be either, because if we table it and you were approved, it'd be denied, or we voted this now, be denied, the effect is the same, right? Doesn't mean you can't reintroduce it if it got denied, but the effect would be the same for this meeting, correct?
Okay, well, I'm not against the proposal. I'm just against the approving it this very evening, that we would just, as I say, on a very quick notice of, without any time to consider how the money is being spent.
I guess I can say that I just heard a knowledgeable presentation, Mike. Granted, we didn't get dollars and cents on the particular items of the program, but it was apparent to me that of the people who were speaking that they were very knowledgeable and had done a lot of research on this. Some research that had gone back several years. I don't disagree with you on the cost. That would be the way I think ideally it would be done. But in this case, I'm willing to go forward with this personally myself, the way it's been presented, because I think of the importance of it.
Is there a second to a motion to table this item? Hearing none. The first motion on the table is to pass this resolution. Is there any further discussion? And it's been seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes that?
I just abstain, that's all.
Okay. Abstain, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Motion, resolution passes. Thank you. Next item on our agenda. Discussion on public comment. I propose as a point of order policy that this board limit public comment to 3 minutes for an individual to come up twice. We've had meetings where public comment has been, I felt, off our agenda and has lasted actually longer than our meetings. Can I have a second for the motion, and then we can discuss it?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I don't think we've ever asked the public to be concise, and to self-regulate. And I think that if we made, if you as the chairperson, before every public discussion that is held, public comment portion of our meeting, if you just laid down a couple voluntary guidelines, we could see how that progresses. Now, I don't think that we need to go and run a timer at this time, but although you do have to keep an informal measure of time to keep people on topic, to items and issues that are relevant to our board, to avoid repetition, and to be considerate of everyone's time. So if you do that and ask that it be 5 minutes or less, I think that it may work. We have not ever made this plea to the people beforehand, before they speak, and I think that with the limited amount of discussion that we have here, that it's possible that
We've had
that
discussion that's gone over
that
an
it
hour.
could work. Yes.
So,
Mike.
is your proposal that 3 minutes is insufficient and it should be 5 minutes?
The answer is yes to that,
Okay.
but I also think that we don't have to have a hard, fast rule at this time. You can introduce the same motion at any future meeting if this
Nothing like the
volunteer.
present. Nothing like the
Yeah,
present.
I still think on a, because, some topics, it's hard to express yourself in 3 minutes sometimes,
Well,
especially when it comes to the many items listed in our budget in February, March, and April.
Excuse me, Michael, at town meetings, we have a time limit of 5 minutes. Many a time I've sat at the auditorium at the high school, and Stacy sounded off by saying, 5 minutes on the mic, that's it.
Right.
So why should we change anything, why should it be any different in this public meeting forum?
And in reality, if we do change my motion from 3 to 5 minutes and followed by 3, you're talking about 8 minutes. If they can't present, if the public comment, 8 minutes is a long time. I find it to be more than sufficient.
Well, I think right now that the public should be able to come up and comment on this motion.
Public
before-
comment is strictly my prerogative on
Well,
my
I know.
agenda.
No,
I can
well, I
eliminate
said-
public comment altogether
Right, but
on
that-
the agenda.
Well, that would revert us back in time.
So let's
about
try and
15
not
years.
head in those
I
kind of
don't think we
directions.
want to do that.
No, we don't. But I'm disenchanted with people using information because they ask questions off the cuff, have nothing to do with our agenda.
it's all right.
They were from months
I know.
ago, and
You don't have to
Mrs.
specify
Winkowski
one.
took the brunt of some of
Yes,
that,
you-
and I'm not going to allow that again.
Right, but that
That's
has,
what facilitated
well,
this
that could be
entire thing.
done, yeah, that still could occur within the 3 or 5 minute
No,
permitted
because
time.
if they did it,
No, no.
they didn't do it
What
in
I'm
this
saying is
meeting.
that some of the guidelines that I think you could ask them to voluntarily follow have nothing to do with length of time. It may have to do with the appropriateness of content. So I agree with some of your
It did not
concerns, is what I'm
happen, it did
saying. I
not
do agree.
happen in this meeting.
Yeah,
So there's nothing I could have did at that meeting. I will do it in this meeting.
right. I just want to know, would you like any of...
No, I would not. I would like this board to decide if this is what we're moving in, the direction we're moving in.
I guess I see this as a statement of intent, which would have to be enforced by the chairman. And we have had situations where public comment has gone on a long time, and public comment has very often been more of a Q&A than a comment. So I'm willing to put in some limitations on this. I think, obviously, whether it's 5 or 3, honestly, I'm indifferent. Maybe they have something for 3 minutes or 5 minutes and then 3. I guess we have to keep in mind the topic. I find sometimes that the same topic's getting rehashed over and over, and I'm less tolerant of hearing the same issue that we may have talked about in previous meetings. And obviously, when you have a big crowd versus a smaller crowd, I think there's some difference in that. But in general, I'm in favor of the policy, and I guess, Mike, I look at it that it's going to be up to the chairman to enforce. And, I don't see Rich pulling out of the watch, right?
Yeah.
But I think if he sees an individual that's going blatantly over,
Yeah.
then that's the time to
Well, I think
raise
that
it.
the chairman already, to some extent, has that power, where if all of a sudden the chairman's ruling or limitation on any discussion or debate, that can be, I think, by Robert's Rules of Order, overruled by the board as a whole. They could question the chairman. But the chairman, I think,
With a two-thirds vote.
at this,
How do you guys know that?
Well, you've been studying, haven't you? So you already have the power to regulate to some extent.
And I am right now. I'm going to regulate it right now.
Yeah, but I don't think we have to...
The public will be aware.
Right.
They can get their comments in order.
Yeah,
Get
but at
them
this point, I don't
concise
think
and
we need to
present
make, that doesn't have to be a hard, fast rule or a motion at this time.
If they run 10 seconds over, am I going to start yelling and screaming?
Well,
No.
you
But
could
you
give
know
them an
what?
additional minute to
Look,
finish.
in my
their-
opinion, we can do this two ways, I guess, because I think you're both saying the same thing. We can vote on this and say it, or we can all agree that the chairman has the right to limit public comment, and that Rich can state what his guidelines are going to be.
Yeah.
Well, it is strictly my call.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So if that's...
I go-
But I want the public aware of how much time. they're
No, I
going to be
agree, and you
limited
can,
to.
but my only point is,
And
it
that's
sounds
the
like Mike's
policy of this
objection is
board.
to the actual vote. If the objection is to the vote,
Then don't
then...
vote it.
No, but I'm
It's
saying the other way to do it, I think, is to just
Don't make it a rule.
make
Yeah.
it your intent, right? State it right now, that this is what your policy
If
is
someone
going
from the public is
going
contributing
forward,
to
and you'll have the same intent as
to a
actually
better
passing the vote.
better discussion or
It's
better.
public comment.
If someone from the public is making a positive contribution to our monthly meeting, I don't think that they need to be limited if you have the ability to extend that.
I could always extend it if I wanted to.
Okay, well then we don't need to make it a hard, fast rule.
It's going to be a hard, fast rule.
I don't see that as necessary.
I've seen meetings that have public comment with 2 people have lasted more than our entire meeting.
We haven't asked them,
I've seen-
we haven't asked them
I've
to
seen
self-impose a
information-
time limit yet. We've never asked them.
Well, here's the
Well, but Mike,
imposed time
if
limit.
that's the point, then that's what's going on right now, as far as I can tell.
We have not asked them, so now we're just asking it. I'm telling you, you could set your rules.
And I'm going to. Do you have any other discussion? Does anyone have any other discussion?
What is the time period we're talking about?
I will extend it, as to Michael asked, 5 and 3.
5 and 3.
Mr. Frieda would like me to extend it to 5 and 5. I will extend it to 5 and 5.
That's executive privilege right there.
Yeah, there's my there's executive privilege. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
I'll oppose.
Opposed. 1 opposed. Resolution passes. And we move to public comment. But before we go to public comment, I would like to thank Pat for her 12 years of service to this board. We may not have always agreed, but I've always known your heart was in the best interest of the town, and I do appreciate everything you've brought to this board.
Thank you. I have been on this board since 2007. I've talked with residents, met new people, and I've enjoyed listening to the compliments about the town and the problems that are addressed by this board in many cases. I want to thank all of you. I have enjoyed working with all of you and you back there, Mr. Piper. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
And do visit our meetings.
I will.
You only be allowed
5
to talk
minutes.
5
Right,
minutes,
right.
though. Any board members have any public comment?
We express our feelings as you have to us, and we do it back to you, Pat.
Thank you, Jim.
You've been a lot of fun to work with, and brought up some great issues, and we're really going to miss you.
You're going to miss my sense of humor.
Yeah.
I assure you.
That
You're going to miss
is-
my jokes.
And I'll expand it beyond, that is what's different, I think, about our board than maybe some of the other boards in town. Everyone here does come with the attitude of wanting to do what's in the best interest of the town. We don't always agree, which is fine. People don't always have to agree. But the motivation's always been what's in the best interest. And that's what Pat has brought, and that's what we, as board members, expect of each other, and we appreciate of each other. Moving on again, public comment. Ms. Wemme.
Hurry, get to the microphone quick.
When does the count start?
It's
Go.
8:45, 32.
Sally Wamey, 5 Blossom Drive. Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to echo your comments regarding Ms. Brown's work on the Board of Finance. So today's November 20th, 2019, another tough day in recent years for the First Amendment here in North Haven. May 31st of 2017, a public Board of Selectmen meeting that took place at the Rec Center, a Board of Ed meeting that took place a few years back regarding changing the mascot. I was very much against changing the mascot, but I was very supportive of the woman's rights to petition and the way she was treated at that meeting, and her First Amendment rights being stomped on was shocking to me. And so tonight's limit of public comment at the most important board in our town government is another sad day for democracy here in North Haven. On November 25th, myself, Mr. Frieda, Mr. Monaco, Mr. Donahue, and others that were elected on November 5th, we will be up at the podium with our right hands raised. And we will be asked to swear or affirm, as the case may be, to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. I will be able to say yes with a clear conscience because the First Amendment is one of the cherished rights of our Constitution. So I find this time limit shocking. And I find it directed at me based on my heated discussions with the chair at last month's meeting. Regarding the resolution for the $2 million, my question, I have 2 questions or comments. Are these items that are, first of all, at the June 25th, 2018 special town meeting, I mentioned that was the meeting where we approved the $220,000 for the supernumeraries, the retired security officers to be put in the Forum Elementary schools. At that meeting to appropriate that $220,000, I came to the microphone and said that I was also very supportive of a lot of the items on here and thought that we needed those actually right away. So. Specifically the cameras and the computer monitoring systems. So I am in support of this, but my question is, how long will this type of equipment, how long is it anticipated to last? Because we are bonding for 17 years, and the first selectman has said he would never bond for capital items that don't last for a long time. So I know there's no cost, but is there any prediction for how long this equipment will last?
It's upgradable.
It's upgradable,
Yes.
okay. But in its current, so there's no expected time for when it will need to be upgraded?
It's upgradable depending upon the technological upgrades that are needed.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to ask, I can't remember, so I will deflect, I will defer if anyone else wants to speak, and I'll try to remember what else I wanted to ask about this. I had another question, but perhaps it'll come to me and I could bring it up there will be a town meeting on this.
Yes, so
and
here's the plan
Board
on
of
this,
Selectmen, yeah.
okay.
And, oh, by the way, at town meetings, the town clerk gives 10 minutes.
Right. So the plan on this is, after tonight, we at our Board of Selectmen
Yes.
meeting, we will endorse it and warn a town meeting. And then it'll go
Right.
to a town meeting,
Right.
and where there'll be public discussions. And then my goal would be to bring it to another town meeting after that for a vote.
Right, right. We, meaning the Board of Selectmen,
Have to
have
warn
to
the town meeting, yes.
call it. Okay, so maybe I'll think of my other question at that time. Thank you
That's
very
fine,
much for
yeah.
your time and attention.
Thank you.
Good evening, Nancy Barrett, Crestview Drive. I just had a quick question, again, without disclosing any security regarding this proposed project. Is it going to be exactly a $2 million project or thereabouts?
Thereabouts.
Or is it something that will have additional services that will have to be paid for each and every year going forward, much like a cable bill or anything like that? Or is it simply just equipment that will be installed, and then we won't need to pay anything in addition to this bonded amount for this?
I'm going to just say, in general, any technology, you have to do upgrades. When
But,
companies...
like, is there a service plan? I guess that's what I'm asking.
We'll have to verify that.
Probably.
Probably.
Probably, so, and
Probably.
that
We
would
didn't
be
get in-
on the Board of Ed
Ed.
budget?
Yes.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing, Mr. Piper? Oh, my God.
Run.
No, you cannot join this.
Raise your
board.
right hand.
There's 7
Hi.
people only.
Bill Piper, 28 Bassett Road. And since I couldn't formally, speak earlier, I just wanted to also thank Pat for the years that we worked together and the service that she's provided on behalf of the residents of North Haven. And I hope there's other ways, in addition to this board, which I know there is, that she'll continue to contribute, like she's done all these years, in whatever other capacity that that she can do that. So I thank you for acknowledging me and us working together. And I enjoyed being on this board for a number of years, and in particular working with everybody on the board. And Pat was a great addition in the years that she was on the board with serving with me. So thank you very much, Pat. So.
Thank you, Bill.
He's right, though. You have a skill set the town should not let go. Anyone else? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Pat.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.